for the last couple of slides, I want to talk about teaching and learning. Of course, middle childhood is pretty much the first um, stage of intensive learning, and of course, curriculum varies in schools and in nations. And usually, when you teach something, you want to assess how well it's been taught and retained by students. So, national tests, of course, indicate that there are improvements in the academic performance in the United States. However, we continue to be lagging behind internationally. And one of the main reasons for that is the fact that we have a big disparities amongst certain groups in our society, that when you take the average of performance for our nation, those numbers, of course, are affected by what caused them. The gaps continue to be, for the past 15 years, they're between certain racial groups. So, European American children tend to fare best in comparison to Latino and African American peers. And of course, Native Americans continue to have a major gap between them and the other groups. Another indicator is socioeconomic status, and there's a major gap between low and high income families and students. Um, One of the major contributing factor to that is that while nations differ in how much overall control there should be between government and education, we in the United States tend to have the biggest difference because unlike almost all other countries, we tend to have a variation and individual control within states or even districts, and sometimes within school systems. So there is no particular curriculum that is being taught to all fourth graders in the United States, or for all seventh graders in the United States. This crazy idea started in 2010, when people who are examining the national standards and looking at the international gap that we have with other developed countries, said that let's standardize the curriculum, at least in a way that can put us in a place where we say any fourth grader graduating in the United States should know this particular body of knowledge. So the concept of Common Core of standards was born, and on paper, it's a wonderful phenomena. Standardizing what the goals of each stage of development, or stage or level of instruction, fourth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade, whatever, should be, and explicitly stating that these are the markers, these are the achievements that each grade should have in these subjects. Initially, it was favored by most states and most teachers because, as I said, on paper it sounded really wonderful. And as it was implemented, the opposition started to build up, and I'm sure you've heard about the craziness of implementing the Common Core. About 40% were later opposing to it. Now, the problem is not that they opposed the idea, but rather the implementation of the idea, the abrupt implementation of the idea, that instead of rolling it out gradually and starting from the first year, implementing it, let's say, with incoming kindergarteners, because it's a new system, it needed a lot of training. It's a different philosophy, it's a different way of teaching that is not built on something that teachers were trained or equipped with. The knowledge, they did not have the knowledge in order to give the knowledge. So, had this been rolled out gradually and given to, let's say, kindergartners, and then those kindergartners moved into first grade with the same criterion, then went into second grade, and so forth, it would have been much more successful than abruptly implementing it into all categories, into all grades, and with not enough preparedness in the part of the teaching staff.